The bell rang out across Ridgewood High, signaling the end of fourth period. Students flooded the hallways, laughing, chatting, lost in the ordinary chaos of teenage life. But for Caleb and Claire Whitmore, every passing period was a silent countdown not to lunch or the end of the day, but to the next encounter with Ridgewood's infamous bullies. The twins had only been at Ridgewood for 2 weeks. Quiet, polite, well-mannered, they had hoped to blend in. But blending in isn't easy when you move around every 6 months, never staying long enough to make friends, always the new kids. Caleb and Claire were different, but not in the way anyone could see. Behind their soft voices and shy smiles were years of training, years of hardship, and a bond forged in something much tougher than blood: survival. Backstory. Born in North Carolina to a military family, Caleb and Claire grew up in the shadows of their father's discipline and their mother's strength. Captain Jonathan Whitmore, a former Marine and close combat instructor, believed the world was a dangerous place and that his children should be ready for anything. Most kids spent their weekends watching cartoons or riding bikes. Caleb and Claire spent theirs grappling on the mat in their garage, perfecting throws, breakfalls, and wrist locks. Their father taught them Krav Maga, the Israeli self-defense system known for its brutal efficiency. Their mother, Rachel, a trauma nurse, balanced out the toughness with heart. She reminded them that strength wasn't just about muscles, it was about protecting the weak, standing up for what's right, and never, ever using their power to bully others. "We don't hurt to hurt," she would say. "We fight to protect. Even if that means protecting ourselves." Present day. At Ridgewood, the twins wanted none of the spotlight. They kept to themselves, sat at the edge of the cafeteria, walked home without stopping. But as anyone who's faced high school hierarchy knows, the quiet ones are often seen as prey. And Derek Malone was a predator. Captain of the football team. Swagger in his step. Malice in his smile. Along with his loyal followers, Troy, Sean, and Jake, Derek made it his personal mission to break the Whitmores down. It started with petty things. Books knocked out of hands. Tray accidents in the cafeteria. Insults whispered just loud enough to sting. But one afternoon, it went too far. The incident. It was Friday, and the parking lot behind the gym was nearly empty. Caleb and Claire were walking toward their mom's car, just glad to make it through another week. But before they reached the gate, they heard footsteps behind them, heavy, deliberate, wrong. "Where do you think you're going, twins?" Derek's voice slithered out from behind a nearby truck. Caleb turned. Claire stood close to his side. Derek stepped out first, arms crossed. Jake and Troy flanked him, cracking their knuckles. Sean held his phone up, already recording. "You guys are famous now. Time for a little welcome party." Caleb held his hand out slightly in front of Claire. "We're not looking for a fight." Derek smirked. "Oh, but we are." He shoved Caleb hard in the chest. Caleb stumbled back but didn't fall. He just looked at Derek with calm eyes, not scared, not angry. Controlled. Claire's hands clenched at her sides. Troy lunged at Claire, laughing. "What's the little doll gonna?" Crack. Claire moved like lightning. A sidestep, a turn, and her elbow slammed into Troy's chin with such force he spun and collapsed, dazed. Sean dropped his phone. "Holy!" Jake stepped forward, fists up, but Claire had already dropped into a defensive stance. Jake threw a punch, she ducked, grabbed his arm, twisted it behind his back, and slammed him into the side of a car. He screamed. Derek charged at Caleb, fists wild and furious. But Caleb had seen this before, dozens of times in training. He parried the punch, kneed Derek in the ribs, and grabbed his wrist, locking it, twisting, snap. Derek's arm bent the wrong way, and he fell to the pavement, howling in pain. Aftermath. The chaos lasted less than 15 seconds. 4 boys on the ground, groaning. 2 twins standing still, unshaken. They didn't gloat. They didn't pose. They just picked up their bags and walked toward the car, where their mother waited, eyes wide. She didn't ask what happened. She saw the bruises, the torn sleeve on Claire's shirt, and nodded quietly. "I'm proud of you," she whispered as they got in the car. Not for fighting, but for knowing when it was time to stop running. The ripple effect. By Monday, the video was everywhere. Sean had accidentally uploaded it before dropping his phone. What was meant to humiliate the twins turned them into legends. Some students cheered. Others were in awe. Even teachers, normally indifferent, began looking at Caleb and Claire with newfound respect. But the most powerful effect came from the silent ones, the bullied, the overlooked, the scared. One by one, they started coming up to the twins in the halls. "Thank you. You gave me hope. I didn't know we were allowed to stand up." And for the first time in their lives, Caleb and Claire didn't feel like outcasts. They felt like protectors. Final scene. The school called their parents in. The footage was reviewed. No punishment was given. In fact, the principal called it a clear case of self-defense. Derek and his crew were suspended and never returned to their former glory. Their empire built on fear had crumbled. As for Caleb and Claire, they didn't become popular. They didn't want fame. But they did start something. A self-defense club. They taught kids how to stand up. How to protect themselves. How to find their voice. Because sometimes, the quietest people are the loudest when it counts. And when bullies came looking for easy prey, they found warriors instead. Moral of the story. Being strong doesn't mean hurting others. True strength is knowing when to walk away and when to stand your ground. Even the quietest hearts can roar when it's time to protect what's right.